If you like what we do here at Off the Deep End and wish to support us, the best thing you can do is to share it on your social media, but also you can tell your mother, sister, cousin, auntie, the kid that's walking by you down the street, your gym crush, anybody about the episode you're listening to and why you liked it. There's also another way to support us, and it's to go to the link posted in the description and on our Facebook page. And when you become a subscriber, you'll have access to subscriber-only content and ad-free listening for every single episode we put out. No matter what you choose to do, I do greatly appreciate you for tapping in, and please do reach out to our Facebook page so we can chat. Tell us what you feel, what you think, what you don't like, what I could improve upon. At the end of the day, this is meant to be a conversation starter. And just to be completely open and honest, every single penny that goes to the Off the Deep End program with subscribers is going to help other people by spreading the word via ads or getting new microphones so we can have more people at a time. And I really do appreciate every single listener. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and don't pass the pain. Are you thinking about making a podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one. And if I can figure it out, you definitely can too. You can create your own content all in one place for free with zero hangups and even earn money as soon as you get started. Spotify lets you record and edit episodes from your phone or computer so you can go mobile, just like I enjoy to do. My favorite thing about it is that you can create video episodes if you wish and upload them to wherever podcasts are heard. You can even set up subscriptions or, if you're like me, listener support options for listeners to help you grow. I 10 out of 10 recommend the Spotify for Podcasters app. Or, why don't you just step over to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your own podcast.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we are live. So thank you so much for joining me all the way from a different time zone. Holy shit.
Yeah, all the way over in Florida.
Yeah, man, I love Florida. I love everything that's going on in Florida. I love Ron DeSantis. I like his message of let's all be united and stop being divided. I love the fact that there's alligators on the streets getting put in trash cans. I love the Florida man. I love it all.
It's fantastic down here in DeSantis land.
Yes, it is. I heard the rumors, and I think all the rumors are true. Everybody down there loves it. I got some friends down there in Panama City, so hopefully I'll be able to go and check that out in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Panama City is actually not even that far away from me.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Well, I'm looking to establish some more vet connections in that area, kind of like a meetup kind of like every Thursday kind of thing. Hit a quick 30-minute workout, talk about the week, create that camaraderie that we had. Speaking of camaraderie, what has it been like for you so far since transitioning out of the military?
Oh boy. So at first it was real rough. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't realize how bad it was, but I was down bad, man. That transition was tough. Myself, I was raised by a military family, mm-hmm. and then went in myself. So you could almost say it was like the only thing I ever knew.
Okay.
Taking that first civilian job, it was almost like I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I acted different. I spoke different. I had a completely different demeanor than almost everybody around me. And I instantly gravitated to any of the other vets that worked there.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like this, I don't know.
Instantly.
I think gravity is definitely a good way to describe it. I find myself hearing somebody served in the military and I'm like, oh sweet, what branch? And bam, we're instantly friends.
Right. Yeah. And, I ended up with one real solid friend out of that place. And he wasn't even a vet to begin with, but he ended up joining and is now back here. Unfortunately got medically retired. Oh. He went into the Army, caught himself a frag grenade. But he's still with us. He's still kicking. He's got some internal damage that he's dealing with from that. And of course the damage up there.
Oh yeah.
But solid guy. We definitely created a deep connection, and all we were doing was working at a car dealership as technicians.
Uh-huh. It's really interesting how it doesn't even matter what you're doing. As long as you find somebody that you can connect to on some sort of level, it's not work anymore. You start doing what you love.
Yeah, absolutely. So him being there helped. Ultimately, that place didn't work out for me. I floated around to some other spots. tried different things, went outside of even what, my job was in the Navy, stopped, trying to turn wrenches. I tried to do some other stuff, and I just had a hell of a time trying to find where I fit in out here. Which is ultimately what ended up having me turn to law enforcement, because veterans, it's structured kind of like the military. You've got the rank structure, you've got a massive majority of people in law enforcement, whether it be corrections or policing on the street, are veterans. So I knew I was going to fall in right there, and it happened instantly. I found people that I connected with, created some more connections with, various people across the branches. When I ended up going to the academy, me and 3 other veterans, as all of our instructors were military vets, across the branches, they put each one of us in charge of squads. So, there was me being Navy, we had a Marine and a couple of Army guys.
That's awesome, man. I think leadership is something that can come naturally after you get a good example and a good picture of bad leaders and good leaders in the military. Have you had some experience with bad leadership? I know it's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, that should be a rhetorical question, of course.
So, you're out of the military. You just left a career field. You already established the immediate connection with other veterans, and now you're in a leadership role in the academy. What was the academy like for you?
Simple. So simple. To the fact that, like I was saying, the law enforcement community kind of falls under some military guidelines, and even to the point of being called to attention and making simple facing movements where, it was like being back at boot camp, except I'm the one that knows exactly what they're doing, and 90% of everybody else has no idea what to do.
Oh yeah. When the first time I got told to dress right, I'm like, I don't wear dresses. What? Oh man. So what are some of the skills that you have already previously developed from the military that kind of transitioned with you into being in the law enforcement industry? So as you're going through law enforcement academy, where was I obviously shooting might be up there. I would hope.
I was top shot in the class, man.
All right, brother. Well done, man. Well done. I love it.
Marine was upset.
Oh, it's okay. He'll be all right.
Yeah, it's all right. I got my jabs in at him for it.
Yeah, it builds character.
Oh no, Marine! You gonna let the squid outshoot you on the range?
Oh no! Looks like you're the rifleman today.
So, but in terms of how it helped, corrections and just law enforcement in general, it can put you into some extremely stressful environments. I mean, it could be loud. There might be, you're in there at any given time, you're outnumbered at least 50, maybe 40 to 50 to 1. And it can be a daunting experience. The first place that I started working corrections was a prison. And so I walk into one of the wings, one out of the 6 that would be in my control. And as soon as I walk through that door, it's me and 40 to 50 convicts.
Oh boy.
And then various charges. I am young and in shape, so I got put into some of the troubled areas where they knew I wasn't afraid to start swinging if I needed to. And so my dorms were typically the higher security, where they were murderers, gangbangers, maybe they were drug pushers on top of that. I had a crown holder in the Latin Kings.
Wow.
In one of my wings. Generals in the Aryan Brotherhood, so some bad dudes. And things did get sideways from time to time, but it was easy to maintain a calm and cool demeanor throughout those situations. And I do attribute that to the things in the military, being able to collect myself and maintain a level head.
That's excellent, man. I'm glad those translated over. I know being cool and calm and collected in stressful situations is not something that you normally are just there's not a lot of people that I've experienced, or that some of my friends or people I've heard about have experienced, that are naturally inclined to deal with stressful situations without it like causing so a type of, not necessarily addiction, but kind of a need for that challenge on the brain, so that you can continue to persevere in tough situations. I can kind of compare that to weightlifting or fitness. Every time you break down the muscle, you build it back stronger and harder and better. And one of the most frustrating things to me in my personal life is stagnancy. So if I don't progress or do something for self-betterment or for betterment of my community or betterment of others, I just don't, I feel really, really on edge and edgy and uncomfortable. And it's usually when I'm sitting around not doing stuff. I enjoy being in the uncomfortable spots, because they make me a little bit more comfortable in the next uncomfortable spot. Right. So,
Right.
yeah. So what was one of the main takeaways from being a correctional officer? I know that a lot of guys that worked in the correctional officer lifestyle will say that respect the inmates and they might respect you. And that's a big might, capital M. So
actually, as a matter of fact, my dad is about to retire from being a corrections officer. He's been at it for 23 years at this point.
badass.
So, you know, him and I have had some conversations just briefly. He doesn't like to talk about it a whole lot, and it wasn't something that I like to talk about a whole lot at home either, because you did see the absolute worst of humanity.
Yeah.
You know, people just getting flayed open, gutted because of some gang rivalry, or they owed him money or something or other. And having to charge headlong into that, knowing that there's now an inmate with nothing to lose who is in possession of a weapon, and you need to go put a stop to it. So that was it was definitely not a plus to my mental health at that time.
I totally understand.
Yeah, it put me into some nasty situations where I saw the absolute worst of humanity. I saw some real nasty things. You know, I never thought that I'd see the day that a man would come running towards me, looking like a unicorn because he has a shiv stuck out of the top of his head.
Oh boy.
You know, things like that. But the main takeaways from it, you got to be able to flip that switch and not bring it home.
Yes.
As soon as you walk out the front doors of that prison or that jail, you got to be able to shut it off. That was definitely a main takeaway. Number 2, get ready to have some thick skin. I mean, there's nothing left on this planet that you could call me that I haven't been called. There's just absolutely no way. You couldn't get creative enough. Number 3 is, again, respect. I've seen plenty of COs go into, and I also worked at a county jail, by the way, so I've seen both sides of the correctional facility system. I've seen a lot of COs go in and just absolutely shit stomp through everything. Are we allowed to cuss on this?
Oh yeah, we say fuck all the time.
Good. All right. I just absolutely just shit stomp through everything. Fuck these inmates. Fuck what they got going on. You still, even though they are incarcerated and they might even be an absolutely terrible person, at the end of the day, you're there with them. You're outnumbered. If you want to start shit, there's going to be shit. And don't think you're the hardest one on the block. Because when 5 of them come out of there and all start whooping your ass at the same time, and you can't even reach your radio to call for help, you're going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
We've had officers that thought they were hot shit until they got rocked. So, yes, respect is definitely a good thing, but, you know, a mutual respect on a level to where they understand that you're still the one calling the shots.
I see. Okay. Did you have a difficult time finding that healthy balance, or was it pretty obvious for you?
It actually, I didn't find it that difficult. I'm a pretty laid back guy, just in general. And I would talk to an inmate basically just how I'm talking to you right now.
Okay.
No different. I would talk to them like a human being. I would approach them as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And in return, I expected you to grant me the respect of my position, who I am, and that I have a job to do. 80% of the time that was tracking. We were good to go on that. Of course, you've got the troublemakers, and unfortunately, there's a large population of mental health issues that, they have medication to take. Maybe they've come off of it. Maybe they just didn't go and take it. And those are the guys that you just really can't reach.
100%, man.
Because they've got something going on. I'm not a mental health expert, but sometimes I had to play one.
Yeah. Being in uncomfortable situations is something I deal with regularly with my job. I never thought that working on elevators and escalators, I would be so exposed to the public, which is weird because public uses it, right? But I never thought of it. Like when I was sitting on an aircraft carrier, my wife sent me emails saying, "Hey, come to this job. By the end of it, you're gonna be making over $50 an hour." And I'm like, "Oh, is this legally or illegally?" It's like, come work on elevators. People actually do that? Is that a thing? I'm not from a too much of a background in blue collar work, but working out there, like I've seen from behind cages, because they'll shut the cages sometimes at the top of these public units, right? Mm-hmm. So that no one will walk and fall in an escalator pit and get injured or something like that. I've been trapped behind a bar while watching people bleed out more times than I'd like to admit. And there's nothing positive about seeing what the effects of declining mental health in a city like Seattle, or a whole lot of really, really bad drugs does to a really, really nice person after they reach the level of desperation where they're willing to rob somebody for it, man.
Right.
It's tragic to see people who are just victims, victim of their own situation and see the decline. I've seen people I knew from middle school on the streets completely, junked out, and it's nothing positive about it. But mental health is something that I actually pride myself in, dealing with people who seem mentally unstable. So they'll walk up and start talking to me, and I'll try my best to be as nice and as cordial and calm and have a good conversation with them. They usually end up leaving me alone. Other people, they get stuff thrown at them. I've had guys get an orange thrown at the back of their head while they're trying to electrically troubleshoot stuff and stuff like that, and get back. I think the worst thing I've ever had is a backpack full of used needles thrown down at me while I was in an escalator. And thank God none of them got me, but things get weird, man.
Yeah. And the mental health situation in a correctional setting, it just ends up being a lot worse. One, because again, corrections officers are not trained as mental health professionals. Mm-hmm. Some of us were better at dealing with that than others, but some just won't go for it. And Florida state statutes say, as a corrections officer, if I issue you out an order and you refuse it, I can immediately and legally put my hands on you and force you into compliance. Mm-hmm. So some guys just didn't either, they didn't have the patience for that or what have you. So somebody who may be known that has mental health issues, they'd start losing it a bit, acting a little wild. They'd come in. "Hey, inmate, get down off that table." "Fuck you." "Okay." And they just go and snatch them and drop them.
Yeah.
And another thing about that is you got to, what was it that they used to tell us? You can have empathy, but not sympathy.
Mm-hmm. I see.
As a CO, you can have empathy, but not sympathy. You cannot sympathize with them, because if they see a weakness in you like that, they're going to exploit it. Mm-hmm. Now you can approach them from a stance of empathy, and that's okay. Now on the flip side, over to the county jail, oh boy, that opened up a whole new book of challenges that I wasn't ready for. I actually got into a lot of fights over there.
Oh man.
It's different, they become, they say a lot of inmates in state prison, things like that, become institutionalized where they more kind of accept their lot in life. And most of them won't give COs a whole lot of trouble. They don't want to go hands-on because they don't want those problems that are associated with it. Mm-hmm. Now let's flip over to the county jail. You've just been arrested. You're in jail. You ain't happy about it.
Oh no.
You've just been stripped off the street. All your stuff's been taken from you. You've been thrown into a jumpsuit and you're being walked to a cell. Sometimes not even that far. Sometimes you're in intake. The deputy's still standing there. Now you got the officer standing in front of you. Some of these guys, as soon as some cuffs come off, they want to take a swing at the first badge they see.
Oh man.
Which, never works out in their favor. In the great state of Florida, corrections officers being designated as law enforcement officers.
Yeah, it's assault on a Leo.
Committing battery on a Leo is a felony third and carries a 5-year prison sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to stay in behind bars. It's not really a productive.
Yeah, right.
decision.
So now you have this new charge to deal with on top of what you've already got going on.
Mm-hmm. So there must be a lot of emotional compartmentalization that you used to separate how you feel versus how you react, and that
absolutely.
Yeah. Is that something that you thought was?
It was the only way you could really survive in there as a corrections officer, so to speak.
Okay, I see. Is that something that you are gonna pass that on, that same ideology to your family members or to your friends? Like, hey, you might have a really difficult situation. Lock it up, put it in a box, and open it when you're ready.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I pass it on, but I think that my wife definitely leans on me for that sometimes. Mm-hmm. When situations get real stressful, I'm the level-headed voice of reason. Mm-hmm. As she would say, I could have the world crashing down around me, and I would still be sitting here talking just like this.
It's awesome that she gives you that verbal affirmation, and that you understand it and use that skill. It's important, I think, that for all human beings, that we learn that it is okay that we are emotional as human beings, but to discipline those emotions, there's a lot of positive benefits that come with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So now you're in, what do you do now?
I actually am a service advisor at a Ford dealership.
Very cool.
As of Monday.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the new job. I know we talked about it over Messenger, but I wanted to tell you on live. So thank you so much for having the time to come on here and share a little bit about your journey. I have a bunch of more questions though, so you got to indulge me, man. Please tell me a little bit about one of the most important things that you learned from your transition out of the military. Like, obviously you have skills that you took from working from being TAD to security. You have rifle skills, you have pistol skills. You outshot Marines. I understand all of that, but I have to know, what are some of the different things that your different advice in different lessons that you've learned that you would tell another vet if they're thinking about transitioning from the military into law enforcement?
Transitioning from the military to law enforcement is the easiest transition. Mm-hmm. That I found, only because you will be falling into a community already so condensed with all of your brothers and sisters who are also yearning for that camaraderie, and you get it. And of course, as vets, we all came together from different walks of life, different places, different upbringings. So we already learned that skill of how to deal with people who are different than us. But especially in the law enforcement community, you're once again serving for a common purpose. Mm-hmm. So that is the easiest transition, and I believe that that's why you see so many military veterans fall into the law enforcement community.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be meeting with the old Seattle police chief, Carmen Best, and talking to her a little bit about her experience leaving the military and going to be a Seattle police officer, and why she left the job as chief of police and things like that. So I'm very excited to hear her perspective about her transition out of it. And I know a few guys who joined the military after high school, like me, and they went into the law enforcement community. And I've been working in a non-official capacity with law enforcement officers for a while. I had deep admiration for the people who say, you know what, I could give some more of my time to the community. I already gave it to the country. Let's smoke us on a smaller thing. And I see the direct impacts it has on the youth in my area and me personally. When I call 911, I know that the people in my city of Bloomington, Washington, are going to respond. They're going to respond quickly, and they're going to be as effective as they deem necessary to get the job done to protect the community, man. And I love it. I absolutely love
Absolutely.
it. I know that there's another person. Oh, sorry.
As a matter of fact, my mother, she was in the Marine Corps, and she is actually a New York State Trooper.
I love it.
And my dad was in the Marine Corps. He's New York State Corrections Officer.
Oh man. So there's a whole lot of this American pride that runs through your blood, brother.
Oh, that's what we do, man.
I love it. I love it.
My grandfather, who's still with us, he was in the Army. He went to Vietnam twice as a grunt.
Twice. Wow.
He's still with us.
I love it. I love it, man. Military service is super deeply rooted in my family as well. And there's nothing more important to me than giving back to society. So part of me doing this, setting up this podcast thing, the whole idea behind it was to break down these borders that separate us as human beings, create some real transparency, not just the stuff you see on where they bring on famous people who are worried about losing sponsors. I don't need sponsors. I don't want sponsors. I don't have sponsors.
Right.
If they show up, great. But I've turned down quite a few because I don't agree with what they stand for. I think this is all about just being just like self-betterment and help people understand some things that they're going through aren't the only thing. They're not the only ones going through it. A lot of vets struggle with the transition. And I think that being a police officer or a sheriff deputy, I'm more heavily on the sheriff side. I think sheriffs are awesome. I think deputies are great, right? So I'm
Right.
more on, but I love the transition and how smoothly it goes when people go into law enforcement. But speaking of Florida and law enforcement, there's one of my favorite sheriffs ever down there in Polk County, Sheriff Judd.
Oh,
He has to be.
okay.
You already know what I would say. The picture, he
Yeah.
really breaks it down, easy to understand. I love it. He's been doing it his whole life. He's a really big inspiration in how to be really involved in the community, and I love it. We got a guy up here, Sheriff, a Snohomish County Sheriff, and he's really great. He's been really pushing the fight to ending the drug situation up here, but I really admire what they did down in your state with the Guardian program, right? So the Guardian program,
and actually, crazy enough, a female corrections officer that I worked with at the county jail made the transition from being a CO to a Guardian.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about the program.
So I'm sure, a lot of people went to school and they had school resource officers from, whatever local agency was around. They have them here in the county that I live in. They have sheriff's deputies in Santa Rosa County. Escambia County, which is neighboring to us, which is where Pensacola is, they kicked off their Guardian program. And basically they serve more or less in the same capacity. They're basically just there for the protection and well-being of the students. Not so much in a law enforcement capacity, but more of a protective capacity.
Okay.
So if something were to, clack off in them halls, they're the ones that are there to stand between them and the students and staff.
I love it. Because active shooters are a huge issue in America right now. I think it's always been an issue in America. Every single time one happens, it is a issue in America. Not just when it's talked about on the news. And it's definitely affected my family personally, losing people close to me who in active shooter situations, and being around people who are, the youth is so corrupted by gun violence and the it being made like a popular subject to harm other people through music. And that might be an artist's self-expression, and I completely respect the First Amendment and self-expression, but a lot of youth don't have filters for that, so they think that instead of we put down fists and pick up guns, and I don't think that's necessarily a great thing to project to the world. Something that is going on over here in our area in Thurston County, and I love for you to hear what you think about this, man. So Army vet named Anthony Tripp, he is all over the news in our area being trashed because he wanted to do something different than sit around and do nothing and say our hands are tied. So he has been patrolling outside of schools armed.
I remember speaking to you about this because I commented on one of your posts about it, and we briefly talked about it.
Yeah, man. Do you think that is I know it's similar to the Guardian program, but it's not inside the school. It's directly outside of the school because a lot of parents are hesitant. There's been a huge narrative been pushed for so long that vets are broken, weak, PTSD filled, nuts that can go off at any moment. You know, Hollywood's really done a great job disrespecting the people who put their lives on the line for the country. Do you think that once medical screening and psychological evaluation is done, it can be possible for people who have served overseas to come back here and protect our youth?
I would do it myself.
That's badass, man.
I would do it myself.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Look at you, man.
I absolutely love the idea of military vets, properly vetted, of course, being able to protect the community like that. Maybe they don't want to be a law enforcement officer. Maybe they don't want to have that much involvement. But there are so many vets around this country who I know would have, just with a smile on their face, go to schools all around America without hesitation and stand and protect those halls.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm actually hoping that some things in the work over here, but I look forward to hopefully the future of me volunteer my own time. I don't have anything that's really messing me up mentally. I have already started talking about the screening, but if this program does get started successfully, I'm definitely going to be giving up some of my days on this earth, trying to serve a higher purpose. And I don't want any money for it. I don't want any PR for it. I think it's just a beautiful idea. The youth are so important. I've always been passionate about protecting those who can't protect themselves. And it's really disgusting to me, honestly, that a lot of school districts and stuff are restricting security guards' ability to protect themselves because the threat is not necessarily a fist coming at you. And I don't think that holding up a sign saying, please don't harm the kids behind me, or please don't harm me, is going to stop somebody who is deranged, some mental health issues, right? Because mental health is a big issue in America, or depression-induced psychosis. There's a lot of drug-induced psychosis issues that we're facing, but ultimately hate is a big issue. When people have hate in their hearts, they want to harm others, and it's a really sad thing. I really think that Anthony's got a good thing going on. The Veteran Overwatch program, he's on Facebook. He's had multiple interviews, and they've tried to kind of just sow seeds of doubt and negativity all over the news in our area. And I think it really, all it did to me was show how negative they are, how dispassionate they are about protecting children. What are some of the things that you would recommend that we can do as a country to help?
Honestly, having this mentality of like you were saying, hey, don't harm the people behind me, or don't harm me. I worked in the most secure, weapon-free area possible. And yet I still witnessed officers and inmates alike come to harm and be killed because it is not a weapon problem. It is not, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a people problem. Even in the most secure setting and weapon-free setting that we can be in, people, like you said, if they have hate and they want to do harm, will find a way. These inmates had access to almost absolutely nothing. And yet I've still seen a man's skull cracked open by a long white tube sock and a padlock, or a bar of soap, or sitting there because they've got nothing but time for days working a small piece of aluminum trim from a door frame until they can get just a big enough piece to wrap something around it and stab someone.
Yeah. It's absolutely terrifying, man. Knowing that you have gone through that, I put my heart out to you and your family. I know it's never an easy thing to witness violence, but I think for me, I have a lot of appreciation for our correctional officers and all the people who work beside them to keep our inmates from harming each other and also from harming our law enforcement officers. All right, so we are back. So why don't you tell me a little bit about things that you think that are correct and incorrect when it comes to protecting people? Because like you just said, you were working in a career field where it was a very, very secure facility. There was no access to weapons, and people who wished to do harm to others still did their best and tried and were successful in harming people who were supposed to be stopping them from doing things, and also each other, because of simple reasons, because they grew up on different sides of one city, because they like to wear different colors and match with their friends. There's a whole lot of reasons.
And plenty, even to the point where, we live in this age of tolerance where, members of the LGBT community are accepted by the majority of society.
Mm-hmm.
In there, no.
What?
No. Absolutely not. Especially if you're a gangbanger, if you bang and they find out that you committed some sort of homosexual act with another man, they'll kill you.
Oh my God, that's a mess.
They will kill you.
That's almost similar to what the Taliban does.
Yeah, and if that's what you do, even if you're not a gang member, don't go around any of them. They'll just assume lick a punch to your face.
Absolutely a mess.
Yeah, it's its own world in there, man. It's any sort of progressiveness that we've seen in society, it doesn't exist there.
Okay. So are there a lot of other correctional officers, I'm just gonna say COs from here on out. So are there a lot of COs who get jaded sometimes about their role as Leos?
In what sense?
Like people who get frustrated with the job, and I know we already talked about people being slightly egotistical and trying to stomp on the toes of other people, but just being frustrated with their job and not being focused. I know situational awareness is exceptionally important for every single role that has to do with anything in life. Like if you're not paying attention and you run an escalator improperly, you might end up breaking parts or worse, people.
Yes, that job is inherently frustrating. It is inherently stressful. I never can really recall a time when my job was just easy. There was no such thing. Minus, riding around on perimeter patrol all night. Chances of somebody making it to that perimeter were slim to none. So that was about the only easy thing that you did. But being in the compound, working the dorms, working with inmates was never easy. There was, you've 40 to 50 per wing, so I'd be looking at well over 200 inmates on each shift, and you're going in, and they all have their own personal wants, their own personal needs. You got to sift through it to see if it's bullshit or not, because there's a constant attempt at manipulating going on.
Okay.
Because we haven't even gotten into how inmates come into possession of contraband.
Okay. So let's hear about it.
There's only two ways that contraband make it into a correctional facility. One, visitation. And it does happen. Two, the COs themselves.
Oh boy.
And that does happen too. I have seen corrections officers get walked out with a brand new set of shiny silver bracelets getting put into the back of a patrol car. because they have committed a felony by introducing contraband into a correctional facility.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be something simple. It could be something very small. They could have brought in a cell phone. They could have brought in a cigarette. Contraband, you've committed a felony.
Damn. And I know they make movies about it too. So, like, obviously the idea had to come from somewhere. Hollywood loves to put on this portrayal of prison being this lockdown secure facility, but they always show the inmates getting a hold of stuff.
And they do. I'll give you a perfect example. I never would have thought that I would come across. It had to have been half a pound of marijuana. And inside the packaging, I found individual dime bags of methamphetamine. And
Wow.
this was hidden inside of a home done stitch job of a mattress.
What?
We had.
Did they think that the dogs wouldn't smell it or something?
We didn't run the dogs a whole lot there.
Okay.
But that particular night, the neighboring facility brought their canine in, brought it into my wing, and I went with them. We turned our radios off. It was the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. We turned our radios off. No flashlights. The lights in the dorm were off. And we just quietly walked through. There was a team of about 6 of us with the dog in the lead. As soon as the dog would alert on a door, we would have keys on us. We'd walk up and just stage and be ready, jam the key in, unlock the door, throw it open, sling the lights on, and start screaming. Grabbing
Wake
inmates
up.
out of their beds.
Mhm.
Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And they'd be immediately cuffed and brought out. I ended up, myself and my sergeant that was on shift were in there searching the cell. And we were looking all over the place. We're like, man, we can't find this, but the dog doesn't lie. So we told him, hey, bring the dog in here. Brought the dog in there, and man, he was after that mattress. So we were like, huh. So I flipped it over, and I noticed where somebody had stitched. So I grabbed it and I ripped it open. Of course, I had gloves on because you can't trust anything in there. Hepatitis and things of that nature run rampant in a correctional facility.
Oh yeah.
So I ripped it open, and sure enough, big bale of cellophane. Ripped that open. Could smell the obvious odor of marijuana.
Yeah.
And then started picking dime bags of little glass shard looking substance that my suspicions were correct after it got tested. It was methamphetamine.
Surprise, surprise, glass shards.
Right. Yeah, surprise, surprise. But I mean, and that's just one example. One of my absolute best and most respectful inmate workers that I had that helped keep the place clean. I found him 2 weeks later with a loaded syringe of heroin.
Oh man.
Yeah. So you just never know. And
Yeah.
of course, 9 times out of 10, they won't give up where they got it. But it's the warden, and he even warned people, when you get hired, the warden has the ability to offer incentives. Could be a little time cut off their sentence if they drop the dime on a dirty officer. And as soon as you start throwing things around like that, hey, a guy that's only got 3 years left, if his thing all of a sudden gets reduced to 2, he's feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
An officer don't mean nothing to him.
throw them right under the bus, and we find somebody that doesn't need to be there.
All right, man. Well, that is it. Very interesting. I never thought that was a real thing, that people would do shit like that. I know in the movies they portray it, but
and you know what? You can see why it would be tempting.
Mhm.
Something like go to Walmart and buy the cheapest like $20 smartphone that you can think of, right? You know what that would an inmate would pay you for that?
A
The
whole lot of
last I
money.
heard, the average street value, they would have their people on the outside wire you money through like Western Union or anything like that. I've heard the stories a million times. $1,000 for a smartphone per phone. So you bring several of those in, all of a sudden you found yourself into a decent sum of money.
Yeah, and you might have a business. You could buy a brand new Cadillac Escalade with a few phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And some people fell into the temptation of doing that,
Mm-hmm.
even though they were warned. And it was, it's wrong. Of course, it's wrong. You know what you're doing is wrong. But people fell into that temptation. They got greedy, went for that money, and typically they pay the price for it.
Absolutely, and I would say rightfully so. It's important to have people on the side of the law that are following it and that aren't. One simple smuggle can turn into death really quickly, especially in the prison system.
And that as well, yeah, because all the phone lines that the inmates use, again, we're talking about guys that are high-ranking gang members, they're killers. We've got all sorts of those guys in there. All the phone lines that can call out from a correctional facility, because of course they have phone privileges and things like that. Those lines are all monitored, so they can't be on the inside coordinating on the outside.
Absolutely, and the only way to keep it tapped in is with a cell.
And now, if they've got a cell phone, they can make all sorts of unmonitored calls, texts, what have you. So it's a huge safety and security concern.
Absolutely, and especially for the lives of the COs there as well, because you guys have names on your body, right?
Just a last name, yeah, but when like guys like me, my last name is very distinct. Matter of fact, I'm the only Dylan Oursbourn in existence.
Oh shit!
I'm me. That's it. So if you were to really want to try and track me down, you could, and I've been threatened with it many times.
Damn.
On a very common occurrence. I've been threatened. I'm going to send my people to your house. They're going to kill your wife. They're going to kill your kids, and they're going to make you watch. Then we're going to kill you.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, man.
Most of the time I just said, yeah, well, tell your boys they better be packing some serious heat, and I hope they can run faster than 1,300 feet per second.
Oh yes.
By the time you touch that front door, rounds are going to be flying at all of them.
Oh yeah. Florida's got some great laws about protecting your home and your family.
And you think my wife won't be doing it right there alongside me? You're wrong.
Oh yes, absolutely, man. So that leads me to my next question. So firearms, they're obviously a great tool for stopping people shooting at you, right? They're a great tool to stop people shooting at children, right? I mean, it happens, absolutely. Right? That's what we call 911 and the cops show up with guns because the bad guys might have guns, right? How do you feel about the phrase 2 alpha and the importance of it or unimportance of it in your life?
Integral.
Okay.
Necessary.
Yeah.
Our founding fathers had the foresight to include that in the Constitution of our great nation. And I would say that now more than ever, it is necessary for us to exercise that right to protect ourselves and to protect those that do not have the ability to protect themselves.
I feel it, man. Yeah, I definitely agree, dude.
Firearms aren't going anywhere in this country. They're not. I mean, I've seen all manner of improvised firearms made from simple things. Pipes, things you can buy from Home Depot. I watched a man take a lower receiver off of a handgun and make a .32 caliber handgun using a wind chime tube.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man.
All he did was end up fashioning, and it had a breach right there so he could eject the round out. You're only getting one shot off, but one shot's all you need if you end up point blank in somebody's forehead.
Oh man, that's a mess. That is definitely a mess.
So at this point, I think it's absolutely necessary.
And is that because the criminals have them as well, or is that because it's like, obviously I know that me personally, I believe that it's a right, and it's especially important for people who are minorities and people who are the underprivileged that as far as societal standards in America go. So if you are of a certain group and you feel like you're being preyed upon for who you are, as far as your sexuality or your skin color goes, maybe you should invest in a stronger form of protection. And also training with it is super important, because we don't want any, any negligent firearm discharges are super, super bad.
No, of course. And I would agree with that. It doesn't matter to me personally what your walk of life is, your ethnicity, age, anything, male, female, I don't care. You, as a human being, have the inherent right to protect yourself. And if you feel as though you need to, then you should. You absolutely should. And
I found out.
I don't think anything, no law, no legislation, nothing like that should ever prevent a law-abiding citizen from being able to defend themselves lethally if necessary.
Mhm. I totally agree, man. I know there's a lot of free resources out there. A couple of my favorite are for ladies who are just getting into guns. We the Female. Carrie Sloan is the person who organized it. It's a not-for-profit, and she spends all her time helping out with domestic violence victims, sexual assault victims, and help them kind of retake their life by using firearms to get over that feeling of helplessness, of hopelessness, of you not being in control anymore. It helps. It really helps a lot of people. I know that firearms are something I use to maintain positive mental health, because it's so simple to me, pulling a trigger and hitting a target again and again and again, and it's very relaxing for me. I get very calm when the bullets start to go out of my gun, and I love it. I think it's great.
I can agree with that. It's therapeutic almost.
Very, very therapeutic.
I have mine with me constantly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's one that stays in the house. There's a rifle right over there. And I mean, there's one that stays near the living room.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in the door of my car. I've always got something near me.
Yeah.
Which it's almost it's kind of a security blanket for me at this point, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That also ties into some of that mental health that we were talking about. I did receive a formal diagnosis from the Department of Veterans Affairs for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go off on this whole rant about it and how I feel about it, as opposed to some of these guys that went through a lot worse things than I have. And the symptoms that I end up dealing with from it. And how I've come over the years. It took some self-reflection to even realize that there was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And how I've come over the years to have a better handle on it and recognize when I'm in a situation that's getting me elevated.
I see. I love how you put those healthy boundaries in place, brother. It's really important. And it's also important to say that PTSD is not just something you have. It's not a light switch thing, just like depression isn't. There are so many different levels of it. I know a lot of people who were in my friend group, and a lot of their PTSD, as has been clinically diagnosed, comes from actual childhood trauma. So they've lived their whole life. And just because you just received a diagnosis now, it might have been just traumatic events stacking up with similarities that are causing and setting up these triggers that might be bothering you. And
mine actually ended up stemming from stuff in the Navy.
Okay.
And it was just like you were saying, stuff stacking up over the years that I didn't know was having some sort of an effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get into security forces with us?
No, I did not. I've had my jokes with security forces, and I may or may not have joked around with them a little bit over the line a couple times in dark rooms and stuff.
Put the blame on them.
Okay.
I'm passing the buck. The mentality that they prepare you for in that is And, I'm sure anybody that's watching this from in the Navy might be, chuckling or whatever. But once you start to put it together, you might understand.
Mhm.
The mentality that they put you in for security forces is a constant state of awareness.
Yeah.
You are always on alert. And they consistently remind you that it's because it's not if something's happening, it's when it's going to happen,
Murphy's Law.
right? And I think the first thing that I ever thought back to that really put me to where I was taking that seriously is when we were in Norfolk on the TR,
Mhm.
and just a few piers down,
Yep.
MA2 Mayo got killed.
Yep. I remember the night I heard the gunshots. I was on top of the flight deck and I thought someone was popping shots at me.
Yeah, and I was out on an exterior post too.
Oh shit, we were right next to each other.
Yeah, I was out there. I was on shift that night.
On the flight deck?
Yes, I was.
Were you up near the front or the back?
I was up near the front.
Okay, so we were within like 400 feet of each other when this happened.
Yeah. So I was there that night, and I was flight deck rover. And once everything kind of came down as to what was happening, I guess it kind of clicked in my mind, like, holy shit, they're fucking right. This man just got fucking shot. We're here in the States. It really is when something's going to happen. And from then on, okay, security was security, nobody really took that serious. But in my mind, every day that I strapped up that weapon, I was mentally preparing myself to use it to defend my life.
And that's the proper thing. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of if we're stateside or not, it's the fucking military.
It was
it's the military. This is not TikTok in uniform. This is like someone could fucking kill you, or for no reason other than what your collar device or that thing that you have in your heart that made you want to sign up because your parents were in the military. They might want to kill you just because you speak English.
Right. So from that day on, I took that so seriously. And eventually, I guess it began to just invade my entire way of thinking. And then, so when I left the Theodore Roosevelt, they actually put me in security forces again when I went down to my next duty station. And the training there was like 10 times more intense than it was on the ship.
Well, that's good.
Which is weird, right? You'd think it'd be the other way around. But they had unused like housing areas down there. And let me tell you right now, the way that they set up training for that, we always did our space clearing, training to go in and how to properly clear space. They did the same thing there, but they turned the volume knob to 10 with this. They had us in a room, had speakers set up, projector, had us watching like unreleased body cam footage from certain police agencies about shootings and shit like that, right? And then they just pop the lights on and they're like, all right, everybody grab your shit. We're going to go clear these houses. And, you make entry, boom, through the front door, and you get in there, and it is just the most chaotic situation you've ever been in your life. People are screaming. They're popping like bah, 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 simulating gunshots and shit. And it is just absolutely chaotic.
Yeah. And
you have to go through there. You have to go, do your thing, clear room by room. Don't get shot in the face. And it was insane. But the problem is, at least, self-reflection years later, I think my real problem is that I loved it.
Well, yes. Well, stress inoculation is so important, right? When it comes to training, you need it to be realistic, man.
It was some of the most fun I've ever had. I loved it, and I got good at it.
Good.
I recognized the importance of it, and I was enjoying it, and I got good at it. Really good. To this day, I can, just at the snap of a finger, sweep through a house like it's nothing.
That's good, man. That's really good.
and I even got to showcase that a little bit when I was in the academy. They
Sick.
let us go through the shoot house, and I got to showcase that a little bit. And the instructor tried to throw me off my game the whole time, and just was unable to. And he was pretty impressed by that. But
Yeah, shit, that's awesome.
you know, various things like that, and I've got some other tales that I ended up recounting to this this mental health counselor that
Mhm.
ultimately made the diagnosis for my PTSD. That, you know, after I got done speaking about it, I thought it would be like this weight lifted off my chest. No, it was the exact opposite. I felt terrible
Mm.
compiling it all together in one little sitting. I was wound tight as a spring, ready to just pop off. Um, but the symptoms that I end up dealing with are typically just in more crowded places in public. And my wife is actually very good support about that. She recognizes when I start to get a bit too over the top.
Okay.
I do my best not to show it on the exterior and just kind of grit my teeth through it, especially if, you know, we're out as a family and we're trying to enjoy some sort of a function or whatever. I just kind of, you know, bear down and deal with it. But it does make things difficult sometimes, you know, and she'll pull me out of it when I don't want to take myself out to interrupt what we're doing. You know, we'll go off to a quiet place or somewhere that I can put my back to a wall and just get a little breathing room, so to speak.
Yeah. I think having somebody to help you set those healthy boundaries when you're dealing with the current situation is something that's super awesome, man. I'm glad that she's able to be not necessarily a crutch to lean on, but a supporting factor when you're going through these times, because there's not really a book on how to deal with what you went through, because that's what you went through. It might be different than what he or she or Tupac or Jesus went through, right? So
Right. And you know, for a while there, I didn't know what was wrong with me. But as I made that transition out of the military, and it made that even more difficult, was trying to figure those things out in my own mind. I thought that I was losing my shit.
Mm.
I thought I was going crazy. I was like, hey, everyone around me doesn't act like this. What the fuck is wrong with me? And what ultimately set it off and had me start reaching out and trying to figure things out was the Vegas shooting. When all of those videos that were raw and uncut started hitting these right here,
yeah.
I saw them. And it's these words from an instructor that ring out in the back of my head to this day. Anytime I could hear a single gunshot somewhere, and the words will just light into my head. If you hear shots, you are moving towards them. You don't fucking matter. You are expendable. Those people need you. That rings out of my head to this day. And as soon as those videos started hitting through, every inch of me was burning to just do something, to move, to help, to get those people out of harm's way, fire back. But I couldn't do anything. I'm in Florida. They're in Las Vegas. But
And helplessness sits
my
in.
mind and my body was telling me, you got to do something. But I couldn't, and I completely broke down. I lost it. My phone ended up smashed somewhere else. I was out in the front yard pacing around. You know, my wife was coming to check on me. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And the only thing that I could get out of my mouth was, I can't help him. I can't help him. There's nothing I can do. I need to, but I can't.
Mm.
And that was really the culmination of, you know, hey, this is where I need to. There's clearly something wrong. I need to reach out. And my mother actually ended up being the one to kind of ease me out of it. You know, I called her up and I was like, Mom, I think I'm losing my shit. I think I'm going fucking crazy. And, you know, she eased me out. Her being in the Marine Corps and now as a New York State police officer. she talked me through it, and she was like, "No, you're not losing it." She was like, "Me and every other cop and vet that I work with right now, we're all the same way. We've all got that same problem, and we've all been finding our own ways to deal with it." And then, her and I had a conversation for a while, and she kind of eased me through, gave me some tips that had been working for her. Because at that point, I didn't have anybody here. I hadn't really made any solid social connections. That was shortly right after I'd been out of the Navy. None of my wife's family has ever been in the military. None of them are law enforcement. I had no one that I could speak to that understood.
And that loneliness, that stuff eats you, man. It's really tough for me to hear this and not have some similarities, man. Honestly, for a multitude of reasons. But the biggest one is when you leave your group of people in the military, you just spent however many years, 365 days a year minus leave time with them, right? You don't really become family. You become something, I would say, stronger and weaker in some ways. You become stronger in the sense of camaraderie than some of your family, because when you're around somebody all the time, your whole life, you start to fight with them, and you bump heads a little bit. When you're around people in the military, you don't have a choice. You have to work together to make it work. There's no option. And so that whole option of arguing with your team kind of goes out the window, and you eventually you kind of get in the groove. When we leave, we don't have that in the groove. We feel like a fish out of water. I've had anxiety attacks before leaving the military, because I came back to having none of my family here, man. My wife's family really took me in. I had a horrible relationship with my family, if I'm being honest, and I've been working on it, trying to be better. But I had anxiety attacks. I'd find myself like I'll remember. I think back to it. I was sitting in a parking garage underneath my work, like curled up in a ball, like trying to figure out if I'm losing my mind, if I'm having a panic attack, if I'm having an anxiety attack, or if I'm having some weird psycho episode or some shit. And I controlled my breathing. I calmed it on down. And I said, okay, I know what's going on here. I'm just feeling a little bit of separation anxiety, or however it would be classified as a therapist. I'm not a therapist. I don't have this shit figured out, but I knew that there's something missing. Right. So I went out of my way to find that. And I started with myself. I didn't take the normal approach of reaching out to other people. I started finding out who am I, and what do I stand for? What are the things that make me happy? I think fitness was great, because dopamine, as soon as it hits that brain from working out, you don't feel like upset or sad or anything like that, because you can't, because you're it's like a happiness drug just got injected in you. And there's no high like being high off life when you're working out and you're healthy. Your blood's pumping, some of that fast-paced feeling comes back to you. And one of the greatest representations of it I saw in the movie that just came out called MVP, Merging Veterans and Players. I just watched it the other night and with my wife, and there's so many funny parts that hopefully everybody can get that's not a civilian or a vet. But for me, it was great for my family to see some of the normal things that people struggle with once leaving the military, and that I'm not this uptight, spun up, abrasive, frustrated, pissed off, disgruntled motherfucker. I'm actually just a normal person dealing with different things, and I don't even know what they're called or how to feel about them. There's no book, because we all experience different things. One of the major, like for instance, one of the major security issues that I remember is there was a security training exercises where we had the boats involved and everything, the fast boats. We had a couple guys, and at the front gate, a van shows up that wasn't supposed to be there. That was not a part of the security drills, with a fucking phone book strapped to the bottom of it.
What the fuck?
Okay. And this wasn't a part of the drill. Like I want to just put that out there. It was not a part of the drill. So the guys with the fake guns are pulling out their guns, freaking the fuck out, because the security guy with the headset on and no cover, he's the only guy out. That's how you can tell who the trainers are. And it's some little highlighter armband. He's checking his notes. That's not on the fucking list. And he fucking pulls out his cell phone and starts calling the cops. And he's like, this is not a part of the shit. And he fucking starts hightailing it away from there. One of the younger, short, 5'5" security guard's TAD from some nuke department, right, is walking up, and he like opens the car door, reaches his hand to the window, opens the car door, grabs the lady by her hair, and like tries to get her out of it. He's freaking the fuck out, and I'm like, this guy's got brass steel, balls of brass steel, but I'm getting away. I'm getting away from whatever this is, because phone book, it sounds like they're testing the security of this place. So I'm gonna just take a little step back, and I fucking sprinted away, and I was like, hey man, are you gonna get involved or not? Because there was a couple guys with real guns, and I'm like, they're actually on watch, not a part of this training environment.
Right.
So go get involved, pussy. Like I was like, you better give me your gun or get involved. You got two options. So they kind of snapped out of it, and that might tie into what you were talking about stress inoculation. So being in these uncomfortable environments, you don't want to be the person that freezes up. Now you're just somebody standing there. Now you're not a helper. You're hindering the situation because you're a target, and you also have a gun on you, which means you have more bullets on your body for your friends or for other people. So it's really not a positive thing to not train to deal with these situations. But on the other side of that spectrum is at times when you're not dealing with it, when you're not having that constant testing, constant training, the cycle of mental health improves when you train frequently in whatever field you're in. That's why training is so important, in my opinion. And I train as many times as I get a chance to, that I'm not doing this or hang out with the family or at work. I do at least 10 minutes a day of gun training with every single firearm I have. So I'll rotate, and I'll do different holsters and everything, try new drills, practice different situations, like me with a backpack, and I don't like the backpack carry, but a backpack, my gun's in a backpack, me laying down or sitting on my hands facing the other way, run to the backpack, grab the backpack, get the gun out, train on target, create space because guns are distance tools, and assess the situation, things like that. I try to always mix it up. What are some of the craziest other things that you took away from being in naval security forces?
The first time that we pulled into Bahrain. So I don't know if they told everybody else about this, but they were telling everybody not to use the ATMs out in town to get local currency, because like the week before we got there, somebody got their head blown off because one got rigged as an IED.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
You remember that?
The security guys were talking about it.
Yeah. So, here I am. I was on an external post. I'm just chilling. I've got my rifle. I've got my M4. I'm just chilling. And it ended up being so chaotic, I couldn't even tell you who I was talking to. They were in security section. And if you end up watching this, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. But we're just standing there shooting the shit. They don't have a rifle. They're not an external post. They've just got their stupid little M9.
Which sucked, by the way. The M9 sucks. I'm not a fan of it. I love the P320 over it. Great improvement.
You sons of bitches that get to use this Sig Sauer. Okay, fuck you guys. But we're just standing there shooting the shit, and all of a sudden, just the loudest boom that you can think of. Like 90% of the ship's out on Liberty, so most of you won't have any recollection of this. Their former TR crew. But those of us that were there will. Just this huge boom right there on the pier. I immediately went into holy shit, it's time to go mode. Whoever it was there with me, I grabbed them by their vest, dragged them over to where we could get down behind something, and immediately went gun up over whatever I could put my rifle up over. Ready to charge the handle, and I had my thumb on the switch. Because we always can carry those in condition 3.
Oh yes, yeah, I know.
You better have
not necessarily optimal.
Not at all.
Especially when you have selector switches and safeties on M9s. So
well, I was using the M4.
Okay.
So I'm standing there, and we're like, we're having a quick back and forth conversation. Dude, what the?
So you sit behind cover with this other individual, and like then what happened?
So we're back and forth. What the fuck's going on? I can't see shit. Can you see anything? No, I can't see anything. Radio is going nuts at this point. I mean, we got a 240 gun up on the flight deck. They're saying, "Hey, we can't see anything. What the hell was that?" So everything is just going ape shit, and
nobody had NVGs or
clue.
anything.
Nobody had a clue what was going on.
Or night vision, right?
It was broad daylight.
Oh shit, broad daylight. Oh, never mind.
Broad daylight. Nobody's got a clue what's going on. And I kind of laugh and joke about it now, and you'll see why in a minute. But at the time, as this was happening, this was terrifying.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting attacked, and we were about to get into an all-out fucking gunfight.
Yeah, about to hit the USS Cole, man. It's not good.
Right. I thought we were about to really set this bitch off. Shout out Lil Boosie.
I know.
And get into a fucking gunfight in what was supposed to be just a friendly port visit. We're not expecting this, even though somebody's head went because of an ATM. But, coupled with that thought, this was a really real situation.
Yeah.
I thought somebody just tried to blow us up. And it ended up being, I don't know if you remember like the pier setup there in Bahrain.
Yes, I do.
It was we pulled right up alongside of it. And then you had the long walk towards the little terminal area where you could catch the bus.
Yep.
What had happened was one of the trucks that come down there to bring supplies to the ship or whatever blew a tire right by the side of the ship.
Oh, and that noise with the arc of the ship went crazy. The
curvature of the ship just made it so loud, and the vibrations off of it and everything. So that's what it ended up being. But in that moment, dude, it was terrifying. And that was another one of those things that it was activated in my mind again. Holy shit, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when, and when is now. It's going down. So like I was stating before, that just has never left me, and I can't get it to leave me. I'm in this constant state of alert no matter where I go.
And that can be taxing, dude.
It is. It does make social interactions in unfamiliar places very difficult. And it'll just drain you.
Yeah.
I'm still, I try to be as social as I can because I'm naturally a very social guy. But my social meter it empties out so fast.
Yeah.
Because,
damn, man.
If I'm in a public place trying to have a social interaction, have a good time, I'm talking to you, but I'm also watching these 4 guys over here and what they're doing. I'm listening to these 3 guys over here and what they're talking about because I just caught a key word of something that I didn't like. So now I'm paying attention to what they're doing. And it's just, and if there's too much and I can't have control per se over the entire situation around me, that's when I start to just get more and more and more elevated to the point where I'm just completely on edge. And if you even were to put a hand on me, you'd end up on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's understandable. If you're put in a position where you're trained to be a responding factor in any, and you're not just talking about the protection of just you and whoever and a piece of metal that floats, right? We're talking about every single sailor on that ship directly relying on you. And a lot of people who have been in naval security forces might joke around and say, oh, it's whatever, right? It's not really that important. It definitely is. It definitely is. There are some, like, if it wasn't important, then they wouldn't have them. It's really that simple. And you are our base security. Like we're not dealing, like we all deal with things when we operate outside of the United States. But even in the United States, we have a situation we deal with. I'll never forget all the suicide attempts that security stopped when we were deployed. I'll never forget how they showed up and helped me out when I was stopping somebody.
right here by me. Look what happened at NAS Pensacola. Active shooter.
Yeah,
Active
absolutely.
shooter.
I'll never forget Chief Strange talking down somebody with a knife to their own neck in the Ford Mestex halfway through our trip. I'll never forget the nuke guy who went completely insane and tried to like choke the life out of one of his watchstanders with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird, right? Yeah. Out of nowhere. He was just like, he just went crazy. I'll never forget Chanza, who lost his shit too.
There's, at the time being involved in it, of course, you're talking about just that 99% of the time, oh, this shit's so stupid. But that 1%, that 1% that would kick in every once in a while, it was absolutely vital that you be on point.
Yeah, and it's terrifying too, because these are people you're literally sleeping like within 1,000 feet of the person that's going crazy while we're out at sea. And I'm not talking about the suicide attempts. Those were sad things. Right. I'm talking about people who just lost their shit. Like, call it cabin fever. Call it. I'll never forget the words "I'm the devil in the flesh" after that deployment.
Yeah.
I'll never forget someone calling the captain of our ship their own name. I'll never forget 4 giant ass MAs fighting 100-pound soaking wet dude and struggling. Like, some weird things happen, man. Some weird stuff happens, and deployments are never just serve your country, come back home.
Right. No, it don't work like that, dude. I had a lieutenant come and turn himself into me down at security.
What?
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, sorry. For what reason? Sorry.
So at the time, I didn't know. I was at the desk sergeant spot right there, down there by the security hatch.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, all I was sitting there for somebody while they went and hit the head. Like, I wasn't even the desk sergeant. I was just covering.
Yeah.
And the lieutenant comes down, and I think I was a 3rd class at the time. So, who the hell am I? I'm fucking nobody. And this lieutenant comes down and, evening, sir. What can I do for you? And he just goes, well, I am here to turn myself into you. And my eyes I said, I'm sorry, sir. He said, I'm here to turn myself in. And I ended up running down the stairs to Chief Strange and just like busting into her office and being like, hey, there's some lieutenant here trying to turn himself into me. And she goes, it's a lieutenant? I said, yeah. She goes, we've been looking for him. Get back up there and put him in handcuffs.
So what was the infraction?
I'm like, what the fuck? So here I am, AS3 fucking nobody, putting this lieutenant in handcuffs. Like, I'm cuffing him behind his back and escorting him down to the security quarters there. Come to find out, we'd been looking for this guy, and the police had been looking for this guy because he was wanted for fucking kidnapping his wife and like tying her up in a closet and having her there for like a week.
What the fuck?
Right. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on right now?
Man, sometimes people be going crazy, man. People do be going crazy. You never know what to expect when you
never really hear about it from like commissioned officers. That's the thing.
No, they're innocent. No, they're innocent.
Right. Yeah. But here I was, and that was what was the most mind-blowing, because you don't ever hear about that. You hardly even hear about anybody wearing an anchor going down. But here was this lieutenant, and I am putting him in handcuffs and hearing about his fucking kidnapping case.
Jesus Christ. What a fucking mess, man.
Like, dude, what is happening?
Man, shout out to Chief Strange. She had to be one of the kindest women I've ever met in the United States Navy. But also, You better act right, okay? You better act right, or she gonna come. She gonna have that ass. You better look out. I love her perspective on life and how she was, how proud she was to help other people and to mentor other sailors. I think mentorship is so important, not just in the Navy though, but just in life.
That woman's voice in my head to this day, and it's been years.
I'll remember her yelling at everybody, and I laughed. And I was walking by, I laughed. She looked at me, I'll yell at you too. And I, it's some people become like pieces of your memory, and they just never leave, man. And
no, and you know what? That was a large majority of the security sections there on the Theodore Roosevelt, and a large majority of the crew there. I still keep in contact with a lot of those guys. If any of you end up watching this, hey, hope everything's going well. I know we've had some rough knocks lately. We've lost some of our people.
Oh yes, man. We definitely have. It's been difficult for me to understand at first. And then I started realizing a major contributing factor is that loss of camaraderie. And that's the reason why I'm working with this current veteran organization, this local. But they're looking to keep continuing expanding. Like they just made a movie. The co-founder, Nate Boyer, he played for the Seahawks and he's a former Green Beret, just made a movie called Merging Vets and Players to talk about the importance of breaking down these walls that separate us. It doesn't matter just because we left our area and we're not ever going to we might never see each other again, but stay in contact with people,
Look,
have that camaraderie.
A lot of those guys from the TR, I say guys as a general term, a lot of our fellow sailors from the TR, I still keep in contact with to this day.
That's awesome, man.
There was, and we've all had conversations about it. There was something about that era of the TR crew, man.
The 2015 TR crew is the most important thing that the Navy has ever experienced, and I don't give a shit what any other crew has to say about it.
Man, and I've never found anything quite like it ever again. There was something about that crew from that era of the TR that we all just have this odd bond.
It's because of people. I think it was because of the people who were passing the torch to us as junior sailors. For real. People like BMC Brontes, Chief Strange. We can go down a list.
Chief Brontes, that dude used to crack me up, man. He was a character.
He's one of the most hilarious people. He was great for me because he played a major role in me going through tough times when I lost my father when we were deployed. And CMC Brontes, or because he retired as a CMC, I'm going to call him by his name. CMC Brontes was a huge driving factor in me being okay and being able to continue to perform my duties and, come back home, not all jacked up. I would say I have some parts of me that are jacked up, honestly, but I've been working through them, man. And the more I talk to people who I served with, the more similarities we find between each other. It really does help. I think that a driving factor in us staying on this earth when we're at our lowest of the lows, when we're fucking down in bottles of things that aren't like, I down bottles of water a lot of the time, but drinking a bunch of alcohol and just adding to that misery, trying to get rid of that numbness, but it just keeps coming back and feeling empty, feeling like you don't fit in, is reconnecting. I make it a point to find Thomas LaBars when I go to Vegas. I make it a point to see Tyler Ates when I go to Spokane, soon to be San Diego. And when I go to San Diego, I'm going to have a bunch of people to meet up with from our deployment.
I even had I don't know if you remember, because you didn't really work around AIMD or anything like that. I know you were in deck department. I don't know if you remember Foster, AS2 Gray Foster.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually got to see him pretty recently. He only lives I think it's like a 3 or 4 hour drive north of me.
Oh shit.
In Alabama.
Got to find an excuse to go to Alabama.
Well, him and his wife had gone to Destin for their anniversary and happened to be coming through here when I was working on base here as a contractor, and I was getting off of work, and they met me at the front gate just for 10 minutes of hey man, what's up? Oh man, it's good to see you.
So overwhelming, the emotions, dude.
Hadn't seen him since the TR 2015, and he just popped in, and dude, it was fantastic to see him. So Foster, if you end up watching this, man, we got to get together again soon.
Hell yeah. the camaraderie is something that you brought up a lot in the beginning of this, and it's really important. I wouldn't call it necessarily a driving factor. I would call it the glue that we're all missing when we feel broken as human beings. And you know what? It's not being a pussy or being a bitch to say that sometimes you need help. And I really do encourage, everybody listening to this, if you're ever going through a tough time, to reach out to the people you served with. I have people that called me from different time zones, from different duty stations, from different jobs. I have people who hated me when we were together in the military call me. And you know what? I have some people that I have not a lot of love for, but I don't necessarily hate anybody I served with, because I admire every single person that signed up, no matter what the reason was, no matter how great of a sailor they were or were not. No matter, there are some people that are shitbags, but I still love them, man. I don't want them to harm themselves. So if they call me, I'm gonna answer.
I've got a personal one that I honestly and truly believe that he may not even be with us anymore had I not intervened. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to speak some details here that could affect his clearance. But he got out. Him and I actually met each other just before we got in the Navy. We came from the same area. We found out that we used to play each other in high school sports.
Oh, man.
My mother used to patrol out of his hometown as a state trooper. We ended up in the same boot camp division. We ended up going to the same A school here in Pensacola. We both failed out of said A school because we were too busy getting drunk and chasing ass. I was supposed to be a CT, and so was he. We both ended up flunking out of that shit. Both ended up undesignated over at NAS Pensacola, barracks rooms right down the hall. And then we both ended up in Norfolk, me on the TR, him on the Ike.
Man, yeah, that's how you become brothers.
Right. And we lived with each other on and off, in between if he was deployed or if we were going out or whatever. We would live with each other. My wife fully accepted him, as one of our own. And he ended up getting out after his first contract, and I moved on to another duty station. But we still stayed in touch constantly, And then once I ended up out, and we made it out of my wife's mother's place and got into a place of our own, started getting our feet down, he called me, broke down, told me he was having issues with substance abuse, had lost his good paying job, was on the brink of losing his home, and was being forced to sell it. Was now working some low end bullshit minimum wage thing, was having to sell everything, and he couldn't get away from the substance because of where he was and the people he was around. So I made some phone calls, called him back. I said, hey, get your house sold. Fuck everything you got going on there. I've got a spot for you to sleep. I've got a job for you to start. Get your ass down here right now. And he did. He got down here. He started working that job that I reached out and got him. Fast forward about a year later, he was no longer living with us. He had a place of his own. He ended up getting a fantastic job contracting. Fast forward a few years later, he now owns a very nice home with an in-ground pool in the backyard. I was just talking to him the other day, and he's cleared $130,000 this year.
Wow.
And everything just, went up. And, of course, we've had the drinking nights together, and he's broken down a few times, telling me how I really saved him and how he'd never have anything that he has now. He would never be where he was if it weren't for me taking him out of that.
Wow, man, that's so. Oh my goodness, it's hard not to get all worked up and teared up when I hear stuff like this. But I've never heard anything that's so in depth. Like what you did was an act of, you got to really, really have a big, huge heart, man, to do something like that. To just say, you know what, I'm not going to allow this person to fall by the wayside and keep going down this destructive path that's going to result in them dying eventually. And you stepped the fuck up, man, and you stepped in, and you did a great job, man.
I'm getting ready to do it again. I had somebody reach out to me. She was actually on the Theodore Roosevelt with us, but I knew her before we went in the Navy. We came out of the same recruiting station. We actually did Sea Cadets in high school together.
Okay.
Is now having a difficult time, is looking at possibly having nowhere to live. So my wife and I already had the conversation that her and her fiance, we've got a spare bedroom here in the house.
Wow.
They're down in a more southern part of Florida. But I already reached out to her. I said, hey, if you and Jacqueline just can't find anything, I know it'll suck to uproot yourself, but it'll be better than being homeless. Dana and I have already talked about it. We've got a spare room for you. You can come stay with us until you can get yourself on your feet.
Wow, man. That's so inspirational, dude. You and your wife are great human beings. There's like a phrase that I don't use, I don't pass it around often, because it's something that means a lot of things to me. The phrase brother's keeper. That is exactly, and sister's keeper or whatever, however you want to spin it for this current situation. But that is exactly what you are. And if I were to ever be a tattoo artist, I would give it to you. I would put it on your arm for you for free, man. That is exactly what you are. You are somebody's brother's keeper, and you do look out for people. Being a sheepdog doesn't necessarily mean you keep the wolves away. Sometimes those wolves aren't physical. They're in your mind, and they're in your financial situation. They're in your heart. They're in whatever you're drinking or whatever you're consuming with your body, and it's important that we do have sheepdogs out there, and you obviously are one. Whether we count your law enforcement activity, whether we count your naval security forces activity, being a protector of other people is something that doesn't come naturally to most people. I think you have this natural instinct, and it might be from your parents, it might be just your gift, but you keep giving this gift of protecting others, bringing them under your wing into your protective field, and keeping them safe. And I want to commend you, man. That is so, like, I needed to hear that shit today, that it's important to keep doing it and keep helping other people and looking out for your community members. We're all spread out in this whole military community thing, but we're also connected because we all signed up for a reason. It might have been for the school, it might have been to chase, but it might have been for whatever it is, right? For me, it was escaping my situation. It was horrible.
Right.
But you save people from horrible situations. That is awesome, man. And I really do commend you. You're doing that's so amazing, dude. I want to fucking scream it off the top of a mountain. That's so awesome, man.
Look, man, there's been times during my time that I've been out where we were looking at possibly getting kicked out of the apartment we were in. Maybe we didn't have any money. We've got a young son, and I'm always pushing to make sure that he's got somewhere to sleep and eat. So, weight of the world on my shoulders. I didn't have anybody to fall back on. I had no choice but to continue to push. Dana's family, they are not the best off financially. They would never be in a position to help us. And when it comes to mine, my family is quite well off, but I have too much pride to ask. So I had, in my mind, absolutely no choice, and I had no one to fall on but me, and I had to make it happen. However, when it comes down to situations like this, I don't want people to feel like I did in those times.
I love that.
I want them to feel like they have something to fall back on, even if it's just me. I will not see one of my fellow sailors, especially one that I, had a personal connection to and knew even before the Navy. I would never allow, if I could have anything to do with it, for them to be out on the street. It's not happening.
That's badass, man. That's really fucking badass, man. And you're a badass for it, dude. Honestly.
We've all got our own shit going on.
Yeah.
I've got my own stuff to deal with. We've all got our own problems. But at the end of the day, especially those of us who've served, and even more so that have served together, if we can't lean on each other, then who the fuck else do we have?
100%, man. 100%. And that is exactly what we need more of in this world. And that is I think something that's missing from that's we feel that way from society, or just towards the 4 letters that we signed up for, sometimes, and
Right.
frustrated with our situation or whatever. But it's always good to know that there are more people out there doing great things, and you are definitely one of the most powerful. It's definitely one of the most powerful conversations I got goosebumps all over me thinking about the impact that you're having, not just on them. You're having an impact on their future generations. Your friend who has a house now, you're having an effect on his future of his life. His children might have a better life now, and will have a better life now because you stepped in. And that is exactly what we need. We need people who are strong, and people who share their strength, and people who have weaknesses, and people who and share their strengths with each other. And I think having them around is so amazing, not just because you're bringing them into your home, but because you're forcing them to have someone to lean on, to have somebody to talk to when they're feeling lonely. You're literally preventing those suicidal ideations that might and may have already shown up for them. So hats off to you. I'm not wearing a hat today, but hats off to you for that, dude. Man. Well, I really do appreciate your time, man, with the different time zone and everything. And I appreciate you sharing your perspective. We're going to have to definitely link up again and do another one of these, because I'm really, really interested to see how the future looks for you as well, with all the things that you're working on with your family and everything, and how your personal mental health journey goes. There's not like there's no book, there's no up and down. There's no uphill nonstop, road to victory. It's not an Xbox achievement or some shit, right? There's ups and downs of this road, man. And I'm very excited to hear about your ups and your downs, because people are going to listen to this and they're going to have a serious, holy shit. Like, I'm not the only one who's gone through this feeling. Holy shit, I'm not.
And that was actually something that happened for me by listening to something that was kind of like this. I heard it on the radio one day, and it was a vet talking about some of the stuff that I was going through at the time, and it kind of helped click a light bulb for me. So whenever you'd like to have me back, man, I've got plenty more to share.
I'd love it, man. I'd love it. Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining me. This has been another episode of Off the Deep End Podcast. If you like what we do here, please do check out our Facebook page, and you can check out the great old Navy security picture I pulled of Dylan. I'm going to put it all over the page and all over Instagram and everything, and it's going to be the cover of this, obviously. So please do reach out and let us know on the episode, or just reach out on the Facebook page and let us know what you think about the things that Dylan's doing. This is very, very important work that he's doing. It's work that's not paid. This is out of the kindness of her heart. And that is where the best work is always done, from a place of love. So if anybody listening to this is going through a tough time, please do reach out to the page. There's plenty of resources I can have, passed on to you, whether it's, you need to just talk to somebody. You don't want to talk to the VA, and the VA isn't helping, or you need somebody who works in the VA who might have some pull, or somebody who you have a friend that's about to lose their home. I have a friend that can help with that. And he's a great guy. He helps people get into homes who are vets who really go down on times. And please don't think you're ever alone. If you ever do feel like it, just touch our Facebook page and click send a message.